Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ole Walls! Let's get fucking listening, baby! Ah!
They're fighting! They're swinging! Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
Ooh, welcome to Ole Walls House. It's me. It's your man. It's your main man. It's Ole Walls. I'm back again. Episode number 83 coming your way. Thank you guys for joining me again. As always, I appreciate all you. So thank you. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys coming to watch, to listen, to hang out. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to producer Kevy, as always, for keeping the show rolling. As you know, a little housekeeping to get us started. If you could, please rate, review, comment, subscribe, and share. Lots of places to subscribe to the show. Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, YouTube. So, you know, all our big company overlords, go subscribe to me there. They're going to rule the world anyway. You might as well subscribe to me on them. So again, thank you guys so much. Before we get to previewing the show, I just want to do a quick little ad here. You guys know Liquid IV, the category-winning hydration brand, fueling your well-being, and their hydration multiplier is the one product you're missing in your daily routine. I use it in my daily routine. One stick, 5 essential vitamins, 2 times faster hydration than water alone. I use it first thing in the morning, or if I'm going out to, if it's going to be a hot day out on the golf course, going to have a few beverages. I like to get one in before I go. I like the packaging. I can take it with me. I travel a lot. I fly a lot. I can toss it in. I can keep it in my bag, throw it in a water bottle after I get through security. New flavors are coming: sea berry and strawberry lemonade. My favorite's Concord grape. There's a bunch more: lemon, lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry passion fruit, guava, sea berry. You guys know. One stick, 12 ounces of water, 5 essential vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, vitamin C, 3 times the electrolytes of a sports drink, premium ingredients, non-GMO, dairy-free, gluten-free, and soy-free. And of course, they believe water is an equal, the equitable access to water is very important. So do it up. LiquidIV.com, promo code OWH, 20% off. Go get it. Links also in the show notes. Promo code O for Ole, W for Walls, H for House. 20% off. Promo code OWH. Fun show coming. Let's talk real quick about it. College football, lot happening. Cleveland Guardians, PGA Tour golf, little Ryder Cup implications, and passing thoughts. Those are the big keys. Let's dive into it. Ladies and gentlemen, there was quite the shakeup in college football this week. A bunch of teams are moving conferences. The Pac-12 is, I would say, essentially no more. There are 4 teams left there after Oregon and Washington make news that they're heading to the Big Ten. They join previous Pac-12 teams, USC and UCLA, who are already headed to the Big Ten for next year in 2024. Again, none of this is affecting this year in 2023. So Oregon and Washington bolt to the Big Ten to join, like I said, USC and UCLA there. Gives the Big Ten 18 teams now. Excuse me. On the heels of that news, and Colorado having already left to go to the Big 12, already stated their intention to do that. Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah also picking up stakes and headed back to the Big 12. Not back. Colorado's back. The other 3 new to the Big 12. So they're all going. So again, that leaves the Pac-12 with just 4 teams: Washington State, Oregon State, Cal, and Stanford. Those teams don't have a big demand in a lot of scenarios. You could maybe see Cal and Stanford maybe get added to the Big Ten as well. But word is there's maybe the Big Ten has eyes elsewhere. We'll get to that in a little bit. But what kind of caused all this? So obviously after USC and UCLA, 2 of the premier, names and franchises and, institutions, if you will, in the Big 12 had left, there had been rumors that the the Pac-12 was in trouble. There was discussions on a TV deal. And again, this all comes down to TV money. Like, that's all this is about. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the former, like, big realignment things that happened in the past. It's all money. Like, it's all football TV money. And then everything else just kind of is along for the ride. So I guess the Pac-12 deal that they were looking at was a deal with Apple TV for streaming. There was no, like, linear, as they say, TV option from what I've read, or at least it wasn't a very appealing one. It was going to be based on, subscriber counts and things like that, on how, there could be bonuses paid out. It was, I think, $23 million is what each school was projected to get out of it. And I think Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten, they're getting 30 out of their move. So, big difference there. So a lot changing. This goes with, as we've mentioned, the two other Pac-12 teams that had previously left, USC and UCLA, going to the Big Ten. This also is, the Big 12 has made a bunch of moves lately themselves. After losing Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC for 2024, there was a bunch of moves slated to take place already. My computer screen. Okay, we're going to have to switch that. You're going to see me looking like a clown over in a different direction all day today. Okay, it's back. So yeah, I'm sorry. Where was I? Big 12. Yes. The Big 12 had already lost Oklahoma and Texas. So they were going to add a bunch of different schools, and I thought I had that pulled up, and I didn't. Let me do that. Big 12 additions. They're going to be up to 16 teams. I have the whole list of them. I can tell you which ones they're adding. So they were going to be adding UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, who else? And BYU. That was what they were doing when they lost. See, they already had 10 teams, so they lost 2, Oklahoma and Texas. That was going to take them to 8. They added those 4 to get back to 12, and then this newest wave of 4, Colorado, Arizona State, and Utah, which was a newer addition to the Pac-12. One of the last times we did this, we're going to bring them up to 12. Then the SEC was going to be up to 16. So, yeah, let's just give a run through. Let's see. I might be able to pull this off. What are we looking at next year? There could be more changes coming, but, this is probably what we're looking at for 2024. Is this right here. We're going to try and share a screen here, see if this pulls off. If it does, look at us. We'll even zoom in a little bit. You don't need that. We'll zoom in. And there. So here, we're going to go kind of down through the Power 5. ACC, nothing has changed just yet. Obviously, these schools and then Notre Dame. So 14 schools, and then Notre Dame is kind of an affiliate football school. So, that's kind of no changes yet. But again, Big Ten is rumored to be looking at Florida State and Clemson. Possibly. Here's the new look Big 12, as I kind of mentioned, Arizona State, Kansas State. Make that even a little bigger for you guys out there. That's kind of what we're looking at there. 16 teams in the Big 12. Numbers mean nothing anymore. Absolutely nothing. Big Ten, here we go. This, obviously, this one is wild now. The Big Ten adds 4 teams on the West Coast to go with the 14 teams they already have. The latest 3 additions to the Big Ten were Nebraska and then Maryland and Rutgers. Maryland and Rutgers, obviously, strictly for the East Coast TV market. Nebraska was added, 10, 11, 12 years ago when you still need to get the 12 teams to have a title game. They were looking for the title money, so that's where that one comes in. Pac-12, sad state of affairs there for our guys. Just Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State. And then the SEC here, the 2 new additions, Texas and Oklahoma. Texas A&M had jumped from the Big 12 previously. So where's this all? What's next for? Let's start with the Pac-12. What's next for them? Where do they go from here? There's a lot of talk about the Mountain West and just a straight up merger with them. We can show you the Mountain West here. That seems like it's probably their best bet. at this point, unless, their teams get gobbled up elsewhere, I don't know if that's possible. Like, does the Big 12 just add a couple more of the four left and, see if what does Stanford do? They're a very, tough school. Do they just be like, hey, we're going to go join the Ivy League? I can't imagine that. I have to imagine they want to fall into another major conference. But if not, Nevada and Wyoming and Hawaii and Utah State and Fresno State and UNLV and San Jose State, San Diego State, Boise State, Air Force, New Mexico. That's the Mountain West. Slot in your Oregon State, your Washington State, Stanford, and Cal. I mean, that's that region that bumps them up to 16, kind of gets into the super conference level. Do they kind of take the place of the old Pac-12? Do they just become the Pac-16? Do they keep the lineage of it? And that's the way they can keep the Conference of Champions alive as Conference of Champions. Bill Walton. Bill Walton must be just devastated. Devastated, I tell you. But yeah, so that's an option. I mean, those teams with, again, Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford, can they, at least be the remnants of the Pac-12 and kind of fall into the spot? Because the new college football playoff that starts next year, or does that start this year? When does the college football playoff expansion start? Is that this year? Let me double check. See, college football, not my strongest suit here. Oh God, it's going to be miserable to find this. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I can't find shit. Yeah, well, here, this is thrilling, isn't it? Here we go. 2024. Okay, that's what I thought. I'm an idiot, but wanted to double check. All right. Where were we? Okay. Mountain West, Pac-12. Can they just merge and kind of be the inheritor of the Pac-12? Because in the new playoff thing, the top 6 conference champions, the 6 highest ranked conference champions are going to the playoff. As it stands now, with the Pac-12 gone, you're looking at 4 big conferences. You got the Big 10, the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC at this moment. So there's 4. What's your next 2? It was kind of the Pac-12, and then it left room for the little guy. So what are they? What they call the Group of 5 conferences? I think that's what they call them. Yeah, the Group of 5. So you got the American Athletic Conference. That's SMU, South Florida, Memphis, UAB, those kind of guys. Conference USA, Jacksonville State, Liberty, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee, not very good. Kennesaw State, Western Kentucky, not getting a lot out of that. The MAC, you can have some decent teams out of the MAC, kind of Akron, Bowling Green, Kent State, Toledo, Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan. The Mountain West, one of those, which is one of the better ones, Air Force, Boise State, Hawaii, Nevada, Utah State, San Diego State, then the Sun Belt, Appalachian State, Georgia State, James Madison, Troy, Texas State, South Alabama. So the Mountain West could inherit the Pac-12 and kind of really put itself in there and, become a de facto automatic bid if it can kind of inherit those teams. If it's me, and again, I don't have the details into all the money and the TV deals, but that seems like the best option. The Mountain West seems, it fits geographically, not that fucking matters anymore. And, moving forward, it seems like that's one of the better options for them to continue and have any sort of relevance. Can you just absorb the Mountain West? Do you merge with the Mountain, whatever you want to call it? I think that's the best way going forward. I got looking back. So let's talk history a little bit. I got looking back at this, and it was, I went back 22 years. I went to 2001. I don't know why I picked 2001. And I looked at the conferences because this is sad to me because I don't know where this stops. The Big 12 seems to have legitimized itself to keep itself around. I kind of thought it was going to be Big 10 and SEC was just going to basically divvy up everything. The Big 12 seems to insert itself into it. God knows what happens to the ACC. It seems like if they don't start picking that apart, in the next couple weeks, it's coming soon. Like, that's just going to get cannibalized themselves. But I got looking back on a time when it felt better. And, also, Big 12 going to be a hell of a basketball conference. Arizona, Baylor, Cincinnati, Houston, West Virginia, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. That's going to be a good damn basketball conference. Yeah, so back in time, let's do the way back time machine. And I got looking at just what it used to be, what was. And I pulled up 2001, and this is what we were looking at. I mean, just look at the beauty for those of you that can see the screen, look at the beauty in these conferences. I mean, the ACC, Maryland, Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, Georgia Tech, NC State, Wake Forest, Virginia, and Duke. Like, how great is that? The old Big 12, before they started losing. Colorado and Nebraska, Colorado coming back, then Iowa State, Kansas State, Missouri, and Kansas. That's the Northern Division. No wonder Nebraska ran through that division for so long. Then you got Texas, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, the old Big East. Like, decent football school even. Look at this, 2001, 4 teams in the top 25. Miami, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Boston College, and you got Pitt and Temple and West Virginia. Rutgers still sucked at football. Scrolling down here, you got the old Big Ten at 11 teams, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio State, Purdue, Penn State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Minnesota. Oh, I saw a cool one. Who tweeted this? I saved the picture. Let me find it. I'll find it. Maybe. Oh, this is a good one. Albert Breer did it. He said, my hope, and then he puts in parentheses, that is highly unlikely. The Big Ten grabs 2 more teams, then creates an original 10 division and a national 10 division, and has the champions play in the Rose Bowl. How cool would that be? So, original 10, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa, Purdue, Indiana, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Northwestern. The national 10, assuming they go get Clemson and Florida State, you're talking Penn State, Nebraska, Rutgers, Maryland, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, Clemson, Florida State. And then they play in the Rose Bowl. That's pretty sick. Continuing on this thing. Old Conference USA, look at that. Louisville, Cincinnati, UAB, Southern Miss, TCU, Memphis. That used to be a fun basketball league, too. The old Mid-American. The old SEC, not a whole lot. Like, the SEC hasn't lost anybody, obviously, because the football money's so good. So they've just added to it. 5 teams. Look at the Eastern Division. Stacked. Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina that year. The Pac-10, Oregon and Washington and Stanford and Washington. We know what's happened. We've talked about that then. And then the old Mountain West. I mean, then you get down the Sun Belt and some other things there. But so that's what it was. And I love that. I'm very nostalgic for that. I wish we could go back to it. It's not happening. There's been a lot of changes going back and a lot of restructuring. And kind of the conference realignment thing, as I was just doing a little research, there were kind of like 4 different big jolts. 1996 was one I never even thought of. I was too young. The Big 8 conference and then the Southwest Conference. The Southwest Conference kind of just dissolved. Some teams that came out of that and joined the new Big 12 were Baylor. Who else joined the Big 12 from there? Texas A&M, and Texas Tech. Other teams that came out of that, you had things like Rice, SMU, and Houston that all kind of went other ways. And then the Big 8, which was the precursor to the Big 12, your Oklahomas, your Oklahoma States, Missouri, Nebraska, they joined up to form the Big 12. So that was kind of the first of the conference realignment things. Next one up was they pegged 2005. This was the first of like the poaching and the real big, like, we're doing this for football related moves, was the ACC. The ACC expanding out to getting themselves to 12 teams and adding some football money. They went out and got Boston College, Virginia Tech, and Miami from the Big East. Really started the downfall of the Big East. And, as a mainly basketball conference with some football on the side, great 30 for 30 on the Big East. I encourage everybody to go watch. And then, that was the start of it. They grabbed those three. And, Conference USA then gets kind of poached by the Big East. They grab Cincinnati, DePaul, Louisville, Marquette, and USF, trying to keep their football alive. I actually read they were talking to Penn State and Notre Dame about joining. They couldn't get either of them too. So that's kind of, the first big domino. And then 2010 through 2014 is kind of the next wave. That's Syracuse coming to the to the ACC. I mean, the list of schools that changed is absolutely absurd. You also have Maryland and Rutgers leaving the ACC to go to the Big 10 in this time period. Colorado leaves the Big 12, heads to the Pac-12, Nebraska to the Big 10, Texas A&M and Missouri over to the SEC. I always forget that Missouri was part of that move from the Big 12 to the SEC. But then, the Big East, you had Syracuse and Pittsburgh to the ACC, West Virginia to the Big 12. Notre Dame switched from all their non-football things from the Big East to the ACC. Louisville also to the ACC. The new non-football Big East gets set up. Like, this is, it was just a wild. That was the biggest change of a lot of things. And, the American Conference gets set out. So just, there's been kind of these big moments, and we're in another one. They're listing this 2021 to 2024 as like the next big conference realignment. So it's just a wild time. When's this going to end? It seems like, maybe we're at the tail end of it. Maybe we're not. There's been a lot of moves, but like I said, does the Big 10 still want to do stuff? The SEC, do they seem like they want to get more aggressive? Again, the things you read about the ACC is there's teams talking about wanting out. There's kind of like that internal strife already. It seems like there's going to be more happening. It seems like the ACC is going to be the prime target. So going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. It's at this point, I think we're better off if we can just get to it and maybe just get down to three big ones. Just get Big 10, SEC, Big 12, because we're not going backwards. So, maybe the way forward is get these conferences as big as possible, and then they just kind of break it up regionally, and you kind of get those old regional things back in a different way. If the Big 10 ends up with 24 members, maybe they just break it down into a couple different leagues. And it's, the Big 10 East and Big 10 West, and then there's divisions, and, maybe, I don't know. I'm not that smart, people. So that's my college football takes. It's going to be interesting. But also very excited for college football this year. The Nittany Lions, hopefully we can see some things. Probably not, but all right, let's move on from this. Just an absolute disaster of a week for the Cleveland Guardians this week. Get swept by the Houston Cheaters. Houston Astros. And then lose the series, lose 2 of 3 to the White Sox, lose the series to 45-68 White Sox. Lose 2 of 3 from them. This is a 1-4 week. 1-4 this week. Meanwhile, while Minnesota, the Twins, they're delayed right now with the Diamondbacks. Oh, sorry, that game has started. The Diamondbacks are winning in the bottom of the 6th. Well, how long did it take my thing to refresh? Either way, though, they won. They took 2 of 3 from the Cards, and they have won the first 2 against the Diamondbacks. So just not what we were looking for this week. Just not at all what we were looking for. The Twins moving forward have the Tigers in Detroit. Tigers, not a great team. And then the Phillies. So maybe the Phillies, who are up to second in the NL East, and inside the number in the NL wild card, almost leading the NL wild card, just a half game back of the Giants. Maybe they can give them some trouble because, like I said, this was a disaster of a week for Cleveland. Just terrible. So coming off the trade deadline, let's start there. Let's start with the trade deadline. Traded away Ahmed Rosario. Get back Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard has a nice outing on Monday. Looked pretty good through 5. Got hit on a comebacker, and that's where that game just went to hell in a handbasket. Just absolute implosion. Eli Morgan comes in, gives up 3 straight hits and then a home run, or was the home run part of the 3 straight hits and then some walks? Doesn't record an out. The bullpen is just an absolute disaster in that game. 8 walks in innings 6, 7, and 8. 5 runs, all 7 runs come in those 3 innings. They had gone into the 6th with a 2-run lead. Syndergaard only went 5. What did he go that day? Let me pull that up. He went 5.5 and a third, gave up 2 hits, walked 2, and had 1 earned run that happened when he wasn't in the game. So yeah, and then they get no hit. Sorry, we were talking about the trades first. Let me circle back to the trades. Also traded away Josh Bell and Aaron Savali. Josh Bell, they got back a prospect, Khalil Watson. And then when they traded away Savali, which has, from what I've read, has been a little bit of upsetting to the clubhouse, to the locker room, whatever you want to call it. Trading away Savali to the Rays brought back possibly the best of the 3, the best of the 3 people they got, and Kyle Manzardo. Khalil Watson, also a highly rated prospect, athletically and talent-wise. I don't know if he just hasn't been panning out. I'm not that deep into it. Like, I just got back into watching baseball. It's going to take me a little bit to catch up on all the prospects and everything like that. But those weren't moves that said we're trying to make the playoffs this year. Those were moves that are, we're going to deal these people away. And if we can still make the playoffs regardless, great. If we can't, then, hey, we added a couple. The Rosario for Syndergaard one was interesting. That's almost like, hey, we know, I think there wasn't much time left on how much control they had left of Rosario, and they knew they were going to deal away Savali anyway, so they're like, we want to get somebody else to replace him because the starting rotation is just beat the hell. Josh Bell, there was a player option for next year. He wasn't really panning out. And it's kind of a move for a small market team. They go out and spend a little money in the offseason. And then if it's not working out, you can kind of just dump them real quick and get a prospect out of them. So, yeah, not the most ringing endorsement from the front office that, like, hey, we're going for it this year. So, yeah. Moving through the rest of the games, Friday, pick up a win against against the White Sox. Then Saturday night comes around, and while it was a loss, it was an interesting loss. Jose Ramirez comes barreling around. First has a ball run down the line. He's got a chance to get a double out of it. Head first slide. He pops up, and Tim Anderson apparently gave him a hard tag. Maybe stood over him for a little longer. Jose had some words for him, gave him a little finger in the face, and Mr. Anderson did not enjoy that. And he said, let's go. He dropped his glove, put up the hands, and said, we're fucking doing this. And Jose had a great quote. He said, if he asked me to fight, I'm going to defend myself, so I'm going to fight. And Jose, with the right hand, stuns him, knocks him down, bench is clear, bullpen's clear. Anderson is trying to get back in the fight. There are a couple shots of, like, when they zoom in on Anderson as he's looking looking to get back to the kerfuffle, and he's struggling. He's not all with it. Like you can see, he's on a little bit of wobbly legs. It was interesting, but man, Jose with a little duck under, little right hand right on the chin, drops him just straight back. It was fantastic. Twitter alive. Twitter was alive Saturday with Jose Ramirez, just laying the boom. Best knockout of the weekend. Where were we though? Ah, yes. Today's game. Sunday's game with the White Sox. No. 3-2 lead into the top of the ninth. Clase in. He gets a couple of early runners on. He got first and second, no outs. He gets back-to-back strikeouts. And then just disaster. It was a disaster. Gets a grounder over to third. Slow roller. How do you say his name? Rocio, I think. Brian Rocio. Short hops one. Cole Calhoun, who we just picked up from the Dodgers. We just sent some cash for Cole Calhoun to the Dodgers. Cannot field cannot pick one over at first. Cannot field the bouncer. Loads the bases. Loads them. Then we get a hard grounder out to third. He has to go back on a little bit. He skips another one. Again, Calhoun cannot come up with it. And then a rip right up the middle. Brings home a couple more. 3-run ninth. And we blow it. So that was cool. That's how it went this week. Not great. Looking forward. What do we got? Blue Jays. The Blue Jays coming to town. Blue Jays, solid team. I believe they are in the wild card in the AL. Yeah, they're the last team in the wild card at the moment. They're 3 games ahead of the Mariners, who are the next closest, and just one back of the Stros and second the Rays at the top of the American League wild card. The Rays now 3 back of Baltimore. And then the Rays. So that's in Tampa. So not fun weeks upcoming. Not a fun week. Like, those are 2 solid teams. Oofta. On top of that, Josh Naylor's on the DL. Oblique, I believe I heard them say. 3 to 6 weeks is being batted around. He's joining Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, Cal Quantrill on the DL. I mean, those are 4 of the top 10 players on the team, and they're on the DL. Maybe if those guys are all healthy, there's a little bit of a different mindset at the trade deadline, though I think Bieber was getting dealt if he was healthy. So who knows? It's been interesting. We're going to find out a lot about him this week, I think. I mean, these are 2 tough series, and you got to do something if you want to keep this thing alive, if you want to keep it rolling. Because it's not like the next week. I mean, you got the Tigers the following week, and then the Dodgers, and then you got the Blue Jays and the Twins again, and then the Rays again, and then the Twins again. It's happening. This next month, obviously, there's only 2 months left in the season, but the next month is it. If you can get through this and have a winning record, then there's still a chance. But the season can implode right here. So, yeah. I guess that's all for some baseball today. Shall we talk about some golf? Switch my notes page here. Justin Thomas, play is suspended as I'm doing this. I just don't care about whether Lucas Glover or Russell Henley win this. At the moment, the biggest story out of this, as far as I'm concerned, is Justin Thomas, who, with a, 2 under today? 2 under. It's currently slated at T11. And outside the top 70 for the FedEx Cup, there is some stuff that could happen that could get him back in there. Brendan Todd could make a bogey on one of his last 2 holes. the postman, JT Poston, also has a few holes left to play. If he gets out of 11th, he's in a tie for 11th. If he gets out of that, who's up in 12th? Svensson is up at 12 under, as well as Michael Kim and a certain, who's S. Yeager? Steven Yeager. So there's people around him that can make some bogeys and help out. But he banged one off the stick on 18 and a chip. If the birdie, he would have slid into the top 70 and been almost assuredly in. But this is a big blow for him. This is going to make him on the Ryder Cup a tougher discussion. I've kind of waffled a little bit. I said he's in, he's out, he's in. You know, I think had he made the playoffs, he would have pretty much assured himself of a spot. I think with this showing, that shows he's not completely dead. And, you know, can be some sort of a live person that he can get in there. Oh, good Lord. Hang on. Now that I know how to share my screen, I'm going to show you people something. Wait till you see this shit. Share screen. Here we go. Somehow I clicked on Lucas Glover. I must have done that when let's just zoom in on something here. Oh my, what's going on here? I mean, as you all know, Lucas Glover used to get beat by his wife, and there she is. I mean, look at her and tell me she's not a psycho. No wonder he used to get beat. She's fucking nuts. She's nuts. Out of her mind. Out of her goddamn mind. No wonder she used to beat him. Look at her. She's crazy. She's crazy. Oh, God. I just looked up. Where were we? Justin Thomas. I think making the playoffs would have cinched him onto the team. But at least he's doing something. You know, maybe he gets a little luck when they resume play here, and someone backs up to him a little bit, and he can sneak his way into the playoffs and just have a good showing at the first round. I don't even think he needed to make the second. But God, if he sneaks in somehow and makes the second, he's a lock for the team. I still think he's going. And again, if you look at the other dudes around him, it's not like there's fucking, like, the other people around him are killers or like people you're like dying to take. You know, again, so the top six are in. Homa, Young, Spieth are in my mind. So then you're down to, you know, 3 spots between Keegan Bradley, Colin Morikawa, Ricky Fowler, Sam Burns, Justin Thomas. I don't think Denny McCarthy and Kurt Kitayama have really knocked the door down. Harris English, Tony Finau. Like, it's not like any of those guys are playing great golf. And Justin Thomas is fucking really good in the Ryder Cup and good in team events. Just him showing that he has some signs of life. I think I still take him. I know fucking T-Man was texting me that we should take Bryson DeChambeau. He kind of backed off. Like, oh, just fucking with you. Just stirred the pot. Fuck you, T-Man. But yeah, like, you're not taking fucking Bryson over him, obviously. Like, Bryson's just he would be a terrible pick. Terrible for the team room. Terrible for team morale. Now, again, there's a lot that can happen in the next couple weeks. The next 3 weeks can determine a lot. So, we'll see. Playoffs do start next week. Billy Horschel had a good thing. Billy fucking Horschel, who was right in this thing, and he's 2 over today and is 4 back. I mean, just playing a bad day, bad round. Was saying that his lie setup on his irons was off by like 2 degrees. That is absurd for a pro golfer. That's absurd for like a good amateur golfer. Like, holy shnikes. Like, if my shitty ass had a lie angle off by a few, like 2 degrees, that's one thing. Like, I suck. Like, I could probably take 10 swings and split them 5 and 5 and get you 2 lie angles with vastly different things because I suck so much. But like for a pro to have a lie angle off by 2 degrees, 2 full fucking degrees, like I'd be one thing if they're like, it's half degree off. We need to flatten it out a little bit or take it upright a little bit more. But 2 fucking degrees, Jesus, what are you doing? He's just obviously not going. I don't know. Who fucking knows? Goodness gracious. So yeah. So Lucas Glover and Russell Henley, they got 4 holes left. Ben On's right there. Billy Horschel's 4 back. So it's a 3-horse race, but mostly 2 it appears. Well, we'll see if there's at some point that there's some crazy awesome finish and I feel like I need to add it to it. Maybe I will, but I probably won't. Other big news, the 2024 PGA Tour schedule is out. Back to the calendar year. First tournament officially is, the Century, the Tournament of Champions out in Hawaii. 39 events, 12 elevated to go with the 4 majors. And the Olympics slides in there, so the Tour Championship falls back a week. That actually finishes in September, the first day of September this year. And then there's a fall series as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 events. They count the President's Cup there. I was counting as an event. So the big thing has been that the elevated events aren't going to have cuts anymore. And while I would prefer every elevated event have cuts, I don't think it's not the end of the world because of the 12 elevated events, 3 of them are the playoffs. So they didn't have cuts anyway. And I think we're all okay with that because it's like you have to get there to, like, there's a cut to get into it. And then there's a cut from one week to the next. So I think we're okay with those. Century doesn't have a cut. But again, like, there's a cut to get into it. You have to have won or made the Tour Championship. So there's only like 50 guys that qualify anyway. And then 4 of them are having cuts. The Genesis, Tigers event. The Players, which is going to be a full field event. Here's the catch, is that some of these, I think most of them are going to be around 80 players for the elevated events. So, the Players is going to be a full field. But then the 3 invitationals that they're calling, the Genesis, the Memorial, and the Arnold Palmer, are going to have 80 players with a cut to 50. And I think the other elevated events are going to have about 80 players too. So really, the number of no-cut events, and again, I would prefer they aren't no-cut events, but are the other elevated events. So AT&T Pebble Beach, which is switching with Phoenix this year, is taking over as an elevated event. So AT&T Pebble Beach, RBC Heritage, Wells Fargo, Memorial, and Travelers. So I named 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. So there's 5 no-cut events. Again, I would prefer there are 0. Just cut it down to fucking 50. If everyone wants to get paid, whatever. Again, just cut it down to 50. Have a fucking cut. If you finish 80th, like, tough shit. You get paid 80th money. You don't get a weekend to fucking make it up. But it's not like there's 100 no-cut events. Like, it's not like all 39 are no-cut events. So I do think, yes, only 4 are not no-cut, but, like, there is some nuance to it. Some of the interesting things about the schedule, obviously AT&T being that they're doing a lot of back-to-back elevated events. Now, AT&T and Genesis have a week in between. That's Phoenix. Phoenix is keeping the Super Bowl Sunday date. Then the Arnold Palmer goes back-to-back with the Players. The Masters and RBC Heritage again back-to-back this year. Wells Fargo goes out in front of the PGA Championship. I always find it, it's interesting. What would players like more, the elevated event in front of the major or the elevated event after? And then there's actually in the middle of summer, there's a 3-week stretch, Memorial before the U.S. Open, then the U.S. Open, then the Travelers. So 3 elevated events in a row. Got to think they'll be looking for a little time off after that. And then the Genesis Scottish Open right before the Open Championship. And then your playoff events. And again, the Olympics in there in between the 3M and the Wyndham next year. They do have opposite field events, again, opposite the Scottish Open and the British Open, as well as opposite the Wells Fargo and the RBC Heritage and the Arnold Palmer. So some opposite field events when they have those elevated events with smaller fields in them. So, yeah, that's about all I got. Yeah, more golf talk next week. Obviously, it's playoffs. Time for some passing thoughts. What do you guys think? Couple NFL notes. Alvin Kamara is being suspended for 3 games. Really great for my one league where he's a keeper who's getting more and more expensive, and now I'm not going to have him for 3 games. Suspended 3 games for violations of personal conduct policy for his role in altercation around the time of the 2022 Pro Bowl. Kamara pled down to a misdemeanor, settled his civil suit today, and said, I was completely wrong. Good for him for acknowledging it, at least. Or at least there's that. Speaking of the Saints, oh shit, that's why I wanted up. They don't play any good quarterbacks, I believe, this year. Like any of them. So they play the Titans, not a great quarterback there. The Panthers, not a great quarterback there. Packers, no good there. The Bucks, no good. The Patriots, nothing. Mac Jones, he could be better. He might be one of the better ones. Texans, Jags, Colts, Bears, Vikings, Kirk Cousins, could be one of the best. Falcons, Lions, Jared Goff, Panthers, Rams, Giants and Rams, Matt Stafford could be playing better by December. The Bucks and the Falcons again. He's avoiding the dudes. No Jalen Hurts. No Patrick Mahomes. No Herbert. No Josh Allen. No Aaron Rodgers. No whoever else I'm missing. Who else? NFL QB rankings. Who else am I missing that he's not playing? Joe Burrow. There you go. That was missing a big one. Rodgers. No Lamar Jackson. He does play Trevor Lawrence and Kirk Cousins, so like 8 and 9 on this list. No Dak Prescott. Doesn't play Deshaun Watson. Doesn't even play Geno Smith. But he does get to play Anthony Richardson, Desmond Ridder, CJ Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, Bryce Young, Mac Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Daniel Jones. Like, those are the guys that they're playing. So, just a thought. Just a thought. Just a tickly thought. While I'm talking NFL, I might as well just do it. I didn't even have this down, but it's a weird dichotomy of Jordan Love stuff that you get. You know, one week it's good, one week it's bad. Then he's saying it's no good. I don't have much hope. Also, there was just a dirty, disgusting reel going around. And they're doing it for all these teams. But the one for the Packers, like the pain, they just like lay out their awful playoff moments. It's like, pain. It's like 10, 11, sorry, not 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. Like, it just lays it into you. And you're like, God damn, why am I still watching this? Why am I doing this to myself? Who knows? Let's talk about some food. Everybody likes some food. You know what I really like? Fucking McDonald's breakfast burritos. Those things fucking slap. They're fantastic. With some of their hot sauce, they are absolutely delectable. I don't know how they don't get more pub why more people don't talk about them. They're by far the best menu item for breakfast there. I'll give the McGriddle second. Steak, egg, and cheese ain't bad, but the breakfast burritos, oh, so good. I had some the other day. I was traveling for work, and I was like, I am starving. And what do you know? There's a McDonald's, because there's a fucking McDonald's and the Subway everywhere. And I was like, I'm getting me some of those fucking breakfast burritos. So good. So good. You know what else are so good? Just a good old-fashioned American hot dog. Everybody loves a hot dog. And had some hot dogs this weekend. The roommate who stated that it's my blessing is a curse, and that her cooking, that she loves to cook and bake. And I can attend to that. She's a fantastic cook and a fantastic baker. And it shows up in my midsection sometimes. I eat a little too much of it. But she made some homemade pretzels, and they were delicious. And she made like a beer cheese sauce to go with them. And then there were some extras, and we had hot dogs. And I said, I'm going to dribble some of that cheese on my hot dog. I'm going to have a cheese dog. Delicious. Speaking of the roommate, I fucking dominated her in Monopoly. Dominated. Just kicked her ass. I also just kick her ass repeatedly in a card game called Play 9. Very similar to the card game Golf. It's got a golf theme to it. And yeah, kick her ass in that repeatedly. But one of the things when we play cards, she sits with her back to the TV, so I just get to put on whatever I want. Been watching the Monday Night Wars documentary on Peacock. Formerly was on the WWE Network, but it's on the Cock now. A little repetitive in points, because it kind of goes through, it focuses on a character or like a group, not so much like a straight timeline, so it gets repetitive from time to time. But it's pretty good. Like, if you're a wrestling fan, don't got anything else to watch, just want to kind of slap something on, you can kind of be nostalgic for a little bit and kind of be like, oh yeah, I remember that. And you don't have to pay super good attention, because it kind of is repetitive enough. But yeah, it's a fun watch. It's a fun watch. Speaking of wrestling, caught a little of SummerSlam. Didn't stay up all night to watch it. Caught a little bit the next day here. Brock versus Cody. That was pretty good. Interesting what they're going to do with Cody Rhodes now. Like, he's beat Brock Lesnar. Like, does he go right back to Roman? That's on a different show. And they're still kind of all in the bloodline Civil War stuff. We'll get to that in a second. Maybe Rhodes goes up against Seth Rollins, and then he has all the belts. He has a belt, and then Reigns has the other belt, and they can kind of do a thing. Who knows? Rollins and Baylor was good. I like what they're doing with the, what's that group? Why can't I think of it? With Finn Balor and not Damian Sandow. Damian Priest. What's that thing called? Judgment Day. Judgment Day is what it's called. A little dissension among the ranks. Multiple leaders. They were even playing it up in that, like, their post pay-per-view press conferences. So yeah. LA Knight remains super over. Dude is, getting it. Yeah. I like him. I can't wait till all the WWE fans fucking turn on the guy in fucking 6 months. They're going to either bitch that he's not a fucking champ, or he's going to get a champ, and they're going to fucking lose their minds on him because he's not doing what they want. And then it's spoilers coming. Obviously, we've been doing spoilers. Jimmy Uso returns and turns on Jey Uso, like, right after they together turned on. Like, what? I think they've gotten so far down this thing with Roman Reigns where they don't want him just, like, dominating people. Like, they need him to be a heel, but they don't want him to just win straight up. And it's gotten kind of little like Jimmy just turned on Roman and they just beat him, and now we're flipping back the other way. And it seems a little much. I mentioned a while back, speaking of things we've been watching, that the roommate and I started watching Modern Family. Kev continued to watch it. Show is fantastic. What a show. Great show. I think we've got like 4 seasons left now. But like, we've reached the point where it's like, oh God, we're getting near the end. Like, what's next? Like, I don't know about you guys. I'm hard to commit to a new show. I just end up rewatching shit. I'm like, then not actually like super paying attention to it. I kind of do other shit. But yeah, we've got to the point where like, what do we do next? We've narrowed it down to a couple things we're going to give a try. Roommate likes a nice light sitcom, a little something little something light, airy, little comedy. So yeah, it's like we're not even close yet, and we're already like panicking about it. So it's interesting. Here's this interesting thing, and I don't think the actual story is that interesting because after reading it, it doesn't seem that big a deal. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But there was this tweet. Over the past 3 months, the number of reporters with access to the White House dropped by 31%. There are now 442 fewer reporters with a coveted hard pass, and that's in thingies, quotations, the result of new rules by Joe Biden's press office that took effect this week. Now, I think that the article actually goes on to say that you can apply for a daily pass and you just have to be kind of vetted again. But it kind of went under the radar, and I just saw a passing tweet or two about it. Could you fucking imagine? Could you imagine if Donald Trump had 442 fewer reporters with a hard pass? CNN, NBC, ABC News, like all of those fucking people would be, this is the end of democracy. This is just fascism. Oh my God, he's a tyrannical dictator. They would be losing their fucking minds. Losing it. And then, all the, you could actually still get them. Blah, 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 blah. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a bigger deal than I think it is. I just don't think it is. I just think they're cleaning up some shit. I mean, I'm as big a critic of them as anybody, but like, I think they're just kind of I think it's just kind of getting some riffraff out of there. And, you can still get in if you need to. You just got to make it harder. Like, probably not the best thing in the world, but like, I don't think it's the end of the world. But my God, if DJT did it, they might fucking impeach him for that. One more indictment. While we're on the stupidity train, Jake Paul beat Nate Diaz. Cool. Like, you beat another MMA guy who spent most of his career at fucking 155. You fought at 185. He's what, 40? How old is Nate Diaz? He's 38. Sorry, he's fought at 70 too. Still a full another level, another division up. He knocked him down and then won most of the rounds. I did see some people were like, "Oh, it's 5-3," and I did see a great tweet. It's like, Nate Diaz never loses fights; he just runs out of time. Yeah, he just gets his ass kicked, and then it's like, "Oh, I got you one time." Okay, but here's the dumbest thing about it. Fucking ESPN made up a graphic and it said Jake Paul's boxing record against MMA fighters 5-0. Congrats, dude. Like, yeah, you're better than fucking people who don't box. Like, he's a solid fucking boxer. He hung in with Tommy Fury. Fight other boxers. I'll have a little interest in it. I have zero fucking interest in him fighting the next fucking washed up MMA guy who's fucking 30 pounds lighter than he is. Don't care. Do not fucking care. He's a goddamn cruiserweight. And he's fighting fucking, at best in boxing, super welterweights, junior middleweights. What are we doing? The only person dumber might be Clarissa Shields. She wants to fight Keith Thurman at 154 pounds. She said she'd fight him. She's a fantastic women's boxer in a discipline that doesn't have many women do it. She's like a 2-time undisputed champ, because they kept saying Terrence Crawford would be the first male undisputed champ in 2 weight classes, because Clarissa Shields, I believe, has done it. Not that many women box. And she's like, "Oh, I'll fight Keith Thurman. I think I could outbox him." Bitch! He'd fucking flatline you. What else? Oh, there was this streamer thing. I don't even know how. Kai Cenat. His name, Kai. It's got to be Kai. Kai is his first name. Last name, Cenat. Cenat? Sene? Kai Sene? I have no idea. He set up a giveaway in some park in New York City at Union Square Park in Manhattan. He's a Twitch streamer. He scheduled a large giveaway of PlayStation 5s and showed up to an overwhelming number of people. He has over 100,000 subscribers on Twitch. Nice. Good for you, man. Multiple injuries are being reported. And the NYPD estimated that a couple of thousand of people were there. The NYPD issued its highest mobilization level call, or highest mobilization level possible, with a call for more than 1,000 officers to respond. The crowd was blocking East 14th Street and Broadway directly south of Union Square. And they were fucking dancing on cars, destroying shit, just full on riot. My man didn't have enough PS5s. My man did not have enough PS5s. Final thing. Home projects suck. And I am like just smart enough to get myself into them, but way too dumb to do them right. I had to replace some drywall. Again, I know just enough. I'm like, okay, this is about what I should do. And then I get into it. I'm like, oh, fuck. What am I doing? And I'm like, I'm way out over my skis. I'm in way too deep. Next thing you know, we're redoing. I'm spackling all over, cutting out shit with. I don't have the right fucking drywall slicer thing, so I'm just using a fucking X-Acto knife. It's a fucking disaster. I pushed it right through the hole the one time because I'm like, I don't want to fucking brace it. Fucking cord. Ugh. I got it done though. It's patched. It's painted. I patched a bunch of other little holes. Just smart enough to get myself into trouble. Way too stupid to be there. That's me. That's the story of my life. Let's go wrap this thing up. Closing time, everybody. Just want to say thank you guys. As always, thank you so much for coming, watching, listening, checking in, telling people about it. I appreciate all you guys. Big thanks to producer Kevin. Keeps this thing going. My man was putting this thing together on the road last week through shitty hotel Wi-Fi. So thank you, Kevy. Appreciate you. Don't forget Liquid IV. Link in the show notes. Or just go to liquidiv.com. Use promo code OWH. Get your 20% off. Be back next week. I believe I'm going to start a NFL preview series for the next 4 weeks. I believe the next 4 weeks lead me directly into the NFL season. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that'll be the Tuesday before opening night and the Tuesday before the opening Sunday. So the next 4 weeks, we're going to do, 2 conferences each week. NFL preview coming your way. So hopefully have a guest or two for that. Got someone in mind as long as everybody's schedules work out. So until then, peace.